Dead Night is a new horror film that is currently streaming on VOD. I rented it off Amazon. It stars Brea Grant, Barbara Crampton, AJ Bowen, and even Daniel Roebuck, who I'm a huge fan of, mostly because of his film River's Edge, which is an excellent 80s film that I highly recommend. It stars Keanu Reeves and Dennis Hopper and Crispin Glover. It is wonderful, and I couldn't recommend it higher. Brea Grant is also an actress that I really enjoy, all the way from Heroes to Dexter to Halloween 2, and Beyond the Gates, which she also did with Barbara Crampton. And a fun memory of mine was watching the awful Bad Apples that was recently released with Rebecca Reinhardt when she came on out to visit. That was a pretty funny thing to do because it was just so bad. AJ Bowen I'm a big fan of his. He's been in tons of horror films, most notably being Ty West's House of the Devil, which I'm just an enormous fan of as well. It's one of my favorite horror films of the last 15 years probably. So, and Barbara Crampton, I mean, the woman has aged very well, and it's always cool to see her. I'm glad that she's doing more, and we're going to see her here upcoming in this new season of freaking Channel Zero. I almost called it American Horror Story. That's funny. I am watching that right now, but no, Channel Zero. So yeah, so this movie is about a family who is going up to this like cabin in the woods, and the father, played by AJ Bowen, has cancer. His wife, played by Brea Grant, is taking him there because this place is supposed to have some healing properties to it. Very woo-woo stuff. I live out in Sedona, which is very prominent in this kind of pseudo-medicine and this like, spiritual healing and all this nonsense. But people are desperate, and they've turned Western medicine has turned them away, and there is no cure for this, and they hear these wonderful things about miracle cures and stuff. And of course, I mean, out of desperation, I don't blame them for trying, just making sure, just covering every base. Like, fuck it, let's just, what's the worst going to happen? I mean, we're here as a family. I'm not wasting time like being with you guys, but I don't know. So I get it, but it's just sad. So yeah, she takes them to this place, and while they're there, they run into a woman who's out in the cold face down. She appears to be dead, and when they bring her back in the house, strange happenings start to occur. I really like the style of this film. I ended up really enjoying this movie a lot. I would recommend it to fans of low budget horror that like kind of a more odd approach to storytelling. They take some little risks here and there with how the story is being told, and I liked it. I think it's definitely left open for interpretation. I think that it's simplistic in its opening and how it's going, and then it starts to get more and more confusing. And I think I have a decent idea of all of what was going on in this film, but it's definitely open for discussion on what you think actually is happening. One thing that's always scared me as a viewer, like this thought anyway, should I say, is this whole idea that you can't trust your own eyes. You can't trust what you see. This freaking bug is pissing me off like crazy. But yeah, it's just like, hey, maybe this bug isn't really here, right? And I'm swatting at nothing and looking like a psychopath. But yeah, just that whole idea that, there's something happening in front of you, and you go to protect yourself, or you go to help someone, or whatever, and and you run into this situation, and then you end up protecting yourself, killing this person, whatever, and then it ends up being somebody else, even though you saw it completely as someone else, or whatever. Those kinds of situations to me are so freaky, because how do you defend against something like that when you can't trust what you're seeing in front of you? and there's this imminent threat that is constantly pursuing you, what do you do? How do you protect your family? How do you protect yourself? If you fight back against this villain, there's this foe that's in front of you, it could end up being your wife, it could end up being your son, it could end up being, a cop or anybody. It's just, that is so unfair. And for some reason, that fucks with my head when I watch movies like this, where there's just this distortion of reality and lack of faith in what is visible to you. I don't know. So it plays around a lot with that. There's some really good special effects, like practical stuff. There's some good gore. There's some decent kills. There's a lot of stylized shots. I dug it. I definitely would recommend it to fans of lower budget. I don't want to say too much more about the plot because I don't want to give anything away. But yeah, I think I've said enough for you to kind of get a gauge of what we're dealing with here. It's not ultra low budget. It's decent budget. I mean, but you can tell that it's a little lower budget. And I don't think that hurts the film at all. I don't feel like I was watching this going, oh man, if they just had, an extra this amount of money, that they would have been able to pull this. No, I think they told the story they wanted to tell, and I think they did it as effectively as they were going to, with no matter how much money that would have been thrown at them. And I really liked the actors involved. I've mentioned I like basically the main cast here of players, all familiar faces that I really like, and they're all good in this movie. So I was reading reviews saying that this is overly convoluted and the plot's stupid and all this, and one person even said it was like a contrived found footage movie. I don't know a movie they watched. There's nothing found footage about this. I mean, they have a little bit of stuff. I'm not going to get too into it, but I guess I can kind of see what they're going with there, but I don't know. I disagree. Although I understand the contrived part, because it does get a little confusing towards the end. But as I said, I think it's a good discussion after the movie. Like, okay, what do you think's going on here? It leaves it open for discussion, and I think that's a good thing. It's not just lazy writing. It's left open for your imagination. Yeah, so anyway, guys, it's getting late. I have some new shirts that I'm going to be showing you here at the end. The Gore Horse shirts that have been brought to you by Rebecca Reinhardt. She did this on her own with these shirts. They're pretty cool. It's a term I use a lot. She also threw on blood studs as well, because people were complaining, well, what if I want a Gore Horse shirt and I'm a guy? And I'm like, I would have just said to them, and I think I might have, one of them, I was just like, but buy a Gore Horse shirt. You don't have to be a woman to have a Gore Horse shirt. Like, I'm a fucking gore whore. I love gore and I'm a whore for it. So I don't know, I thought that was kind of funny. But you got a blood stud shirt, which is kind of funny. Yeah, store's pretty cool. We got like fucking 4 shirts now, and it's fun. It's fun to see this kind of growing, and thank you to Rebecca for doing so much about this. And to Leela and Ashley Grady for modeling and buying these shirts themselves just to support the channel and me. I always appreciate that stuff. So if you want to check out the store, there you go. Of course, always consider checking out the Patreon to support the channel. I would love to eventually do this full time. I really, really love doing this. This would be so fun to do for a living all the time. Jesus Christ, that is the dream job of mine. But anyway, guys, it's bedtime. Have a good night. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I friggin' post so many videos. If you're the first time here for some reason, I don't know how many people are checking out these little videos. I usually get tons of hits on like the American Horror Story reviews and the Castle Rock reviews and stuff like that. But these little videos of little small movies, I usually am only my core people. But if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I seriously do like 2-3 reviews every single fucking day, because I'm a lunatic. So absolutely subscribe. Probably don't want to hit the notifications though, because that might be going off way too often. Anyways, good night.